Welcome to Offset, Larry and the Big Man. That's Jay Caufield, two-time Stanley Cup champion and Sportsnet hockey analyst. I'm Larry Richert from the Big K Morning Show at KDKA. And Dave Ricchini is our Nostradamus man of the numbers. He's kind of an on-set producer, too. That's the hat he wears.
On set for offset.
That's why you're the producer.
There you go.
We want to thank One Team Media's Brian Hess, and producing this episode is Mark Coddington. Thank you, Mark, for your great work. And from Odyssey Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli.
And also Dave Rourke, the Rourke Automotive Group, and Tom Grillish with Henderson Brothers being title sponsors for our podcast. Thank you, guys.
All right, heading into playoff weekend for the NFL, let's talk about the matchups from last week and now how they end up forming the brackets for this weekend.
Yeah. And Dave and I talked about it. I talked to Dave because and he has good reasons. There's a number of things. The 49ers feel they got, they flew east, west to east. They go back. Now they got the Saturday game. And I think with that, they were begging the NFL to kind of give them, the next day. And the NFL had no time for it. And I was thinking, if you do want the best, in fairness, they always try and keep everything fair. Like you don't want to have whatever your schedule is, so everybody has the same amount of days to prepare. And 49ers aren't going to get it. It's going to make it really difficult for them going to Seattle, right? So that's one. But the Bills, Dave, to your point, Bills played on Sunday as well. So they have to go out to Denver, and they play at 4:30 in the afternoon, where the 49ers are playing at 8 at night. But that makes it tough. One less day to prepare to recover. It's going to make it hard for those teams.
It's a big deal for those players and teams.
It is.
It might not seem like that to the fans, but the way they have the schedule rolled out for a week game, it's not typical in any way, and it doesn't, that extra day matters.
I do think it shouldn't, and Dave, I'll let you say your piece too. I read something or saw something that since 2021, they have had all the number one seeds. The team that gets a bye always plays the Saturday game. I think anybody who comes out of if you played Sunday, but see, they had 3 games, and there's a Monday night game too. Who's getting punished by that?
Right. Yeah.
I do think you should look at what the results are, who it is, and then guys that played. You should try and do your best to not give teams the short end of the stick. That's what I think.
I think they did the best they could. I think it makes sense to reward the number one seeds, that if you win your game in a divisional round, you get that extra day to prepare for the AFC or NFC championship game. So I like both one seeds playing on Saturday. I think the fact that San Fran, again, the Rams had to go to Carolina, go back to the West Coast. Yep. Now they got to go to Chicago, give them an extra day. Meanwhile, San Fran stays on the West Coast, just goes up north of Seattle. So it's less of a trip for them. It's a place they're familiar with. And it's the late game on Saturday, so you give them a little bit more time there. And I think the fact that, the winner of the Texans-Steelers game was going to play on Sunday regardless. There's no way you could make the Monday night game winner play on Saturday. So
agreed.
They were kind of,
Yeah, they let it be known that was the case. How about the Steelers playing Monday night, Sunday night? They were in Cleveland before that, then Monday night against Miami. They had a lot of night primetime games. Yep. But so the setup is Broncos, Bills, 4:30 Saturday, followed by the Seahawks, 49ers at 8 o'clock. And then Sunday, it's Patriots, now Texans at 3 and 6:30, the Bears and Rams.
So, Larry, why don't you we're going to make predictions. The 3 of us are going to predict. We don't need to have a score, just a winner, right? Let's predict the winner. You keep track of it if you could. Since
when he says why don't you, he means do it.
Oh, I know. I've known the Big Man for... I've known the Big Man for 30 years.
There was no question there.
That's really good. So,
I got you, Jay.
See, you do such a good job. Because Dave, I don't trust with numbers either.
How did I become?
It's only you.
I originally wanted to predict the correct score for the Texans Steelers.
You did.
Okay. All right.
Still the funniest moment. So good, Larry.
All right, Jay. 4 games.
Okay, we'll go one at a time.
We'll
go through one at a time. Let's start with New England, Houston. All right, that'll be the game number 1 that we'll all pick. All right, New England, Houston. I am going to go. I'm going with New England because I don't think that I think they'll be prepared for a running game. and the quarterback situation. I mean, I think they're gonna be better prepared. They know what Houston brings. Everybody sees what their defense is about, but I think they're gonna shut down their running game. So I'm gonna go New England for me in that game.
I agree. I think Drake May got his playoff jitters out of the way last week against the Chargers. I think something to watch. Again, can Nico Collins clear concussion protocol in 6 days now that they're playing on Sunday at 1 o'clock?
I'll be shocked. Just like they said the same thing about Gonzalez. He's in concussion protocol. I shouldn't guarantee, but I will pretty much guarantee that some guy said he looked messed up a little bit, but he didn't look right because his knees. Is it me, or did his knees drive into the turf and forced him forward, right? His knees caught, went forward. I think he was hurt before that, though. But I think you'll see everybody in the lineup.
All right, I'm going to go.
You think it's tough? You think it's tough?
I think it's tough.
I hate to pick the Patriots, but I want them to beat the Texans. Then I want the Pats to lose in the championship game. So all three of us picked New England.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the Seahawks and the 49ers. 49ers, boy, yeah, you're a Seahawk guy. Tell me the 49ers don't scare you a little bit.
They do, just because Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. He's a top 5 coach in the league. Their running game, though, you think of Christian McCaffrey. Their running game has not been that good. I mentioned in the previous show about the Texans being bottom of the league. The 49ers are there too. You think of them as a running game, they're not. They're a drop back team now, and now, without Ricky Pearsall, not sure if he's going to make it back at wide receiver. George Kittle tore his Achilles. That's big because Kittle, I've seen probably every single one of Kittle's games against Seattle. He's not just a player in the passing game, but in a running game, he is lethal, and he breaks a lot of those long runs they get. Not having him, I like Seattle. I mean, they played to close out the season in Santa Clara. Seattle won the game. I think Seattle should have won the game by a lot more. The offense kind of stuttered, but their running game's starting to get going. They're starting to get some explosive plays on the outside. I think Seattle's going to handle business.
Yeah, Seattle's too good. Defensively, they're like how we talk about Houston. I think Seattle's defense is right there with that. I think they're that good, and I think they play such complementary football. I think it's going to be really tough for the 49ers. The Kittle injury on top of everything else Dave mentioned, the Kittle injury directly, it's tough. That McCaffrey's such a great athlete that he finds ways to get yards, but it's against them, it's going to be really tough. And again, a shorter week for them. So Seattle for me.
I'm going to go with Seattle also. Brock Purdy's, he's got something, he finds ways to win, but I think Seattle's too much. All right, moving on. On Sunday, the Broncos and the Bills.
You start.
I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl, if you guys recall, back at the beginning of the season. They're still in it. Josh Allen was amazing. That, to beat the Jaguars on their turf, he seems to be able to will that team to win. But the Broncos, obviously the number 1 seed, sometimes the rest doesn't do you good. I'm going to go with the Bills.
I'm hard to go against Josh Allen, too. I think he's seeing that the quarterback's in his way. Mahomes is out of there. No Baltimore, even though they've been bad all year. I just don't know I don't know what Broncos team is going to show up, and I'm not sure what Bills defense is going to show up, but I'm still going to bet. I'm going to put my money on Josh Allen as well. I'm with the Bills also.
David.
I agree. I think if the Bills were going to lose in the playoffs, it was going to be last week in Jacksonville. The fact that they got past that game, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I have the Bills winning.
That leaves us with the Bears and the Rams. I think this is a good matchup. It's really hard to handicap this one, I think, for me. Just the Bears got some kind of mojo going. They should lose games, and they don't. So what do you think, Dave?
As a Seahawks fan, I want the Bears to win. I don't think they will. I think the Rams are going to win. I still think they're the class of the NFC, in my opinion. And after what the Bears have done to so many teams, if the Rams get up 14 points, I mean, I can see McVay keeping his foot on the gas. You got to try to score as many points as possible. I don't think they're going to allow Caleb Williams to have a comeback effort this weekend.
Yeah, you know what? I think, and I wonder what the line's going to be. I haven't looked at the early line, but I think, is it 4? Chicago favorite by 4? Interesting. Wow. I hate going against a home dog. I don't know. Again, I'm saying the same thing. It's wild. They're in Chicago saying no respect whatsoever, right? So, but I think the passing game, Nakua, Adams, the tight end, the run. I mean, but wow, home dog. I don't like hearing. I get. I didn't like that the Steelers, were a home dog. But I see that last night. But a home dog, 4 points, and they just almost lost to Carolina.
This is real-time analysis. I love this.
You see it working, the magic, right?
But we're not.
We're witnesses to it.
We're not picking the lines. We're just going by who we think's going to win. I'm going to go. I'm going with the Rams again too. I'm taking the Rams, but that's going against it is going against the home dog theory for me. No, I'm going to change it. Give me Chicago. Give me Chicago because I'm going to just stay with my thought. A home underdog. I'm going to take Chicago.
All right. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Yeah, this could be the one that trips me
So
out.
that's how we kind of forecast the weekend. I'm sure any validity you put in that, you do at your own risk. All right. That said, it's time for the Big Man Blitz. This can be terrifying. Anyone under 18, please scroll forward.
Honestly, I have multiple things to go with, but this one I'm just going to go with the fourth and go for it anywhere you are on the field. Run that I've watched. I watched Chicago do it, and they're lucky they won, right? I mean, they came back and won. Green Bay aided them, if you will. But how many times did he go for it and was unsuccessful? At his own 30, 35-yard line, he did it once. I don't get – there's nothing wrong with taking the points and punting the ball. Like, play the field position game a little bit. The rate that guys are going for it, I know the analytics. My point is everybody's going to use analytics. I get that. But I think the eye test should go with it. And I think I said this the day before. If my analytics say go for it on 4th and 1, but I'm getting 0 push during this game, then make a decision. That's why you're paid big money as a head coach to say, yep, we're not going to do it. Send a punting unit or send a field goal unit out. All this 4th and 1, 4th and 2 stuff, and how many guys are getting stuffed and it's changing games. Chicago's lucky they won the other day. And it would have been nothing greater than to point out how many times they went for it and failed. And I'll bet you, and I like the coach in Detroit, but I'll bet you there's 3-4 games that they gave away because how many times that they get stuffed on a 4th and when there's points on the board. And it puts your defense in a bad position. Everybody, the momentum flips automatically. I get it when you need to go for it and when you need it. But so many times they're just doing it because the analytics say to do it. The numbers prove to do it and go for it. And I'm against it. Points are important, right? Points are big.
Absolutely.
Sometimes punting the ball is big. There you go.
That is this edition's Big Man Blitz.
That's
Don't go for it on 4th down. If you can kick a field goal, take the points and stop this nonsense. All right.
Larry, that's the way to sum it up. That was very good.
All right. Surprise, the Miami Hurricanes with a home game for the national championship in college football against IU, undefeated. I don't know that I can remember where a college football coach was getting more accolades by the day, by the minute than Curt Cignetti, who has a direct link to Pittsburgh with his Hall of Fame father as a coach,
Yep.
IUP, Pitt, all the connections that he has with his brother and family. I'm rooting for Indiana for that reason to win, but Miami, you said you had some inside knowledge of some sort. Does this come from being on the ship?
It does. By the way, his father, Frank, coached my brother at IUP football, so there's that connection.
IUP.
There you go.
Very
Used
good.
to go to a lot of games to watch Frank Cignetti coach.
That's wild. I think it's a great thing. It's a great story. Very good interest for us here. Nice to see.
So I will say the cruise ship we were on left out of Miami, so there were a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans on board, and we were at one of our favorite bars on the boat the one night, and it's the night that the Hurricanes and Buckeyes were playing, and we were more so cheering for the guitar player that was there that we made friends with during the course of the week, but there was a contingent of Hurricanes fans, and they saw us being rowdy in a bar, and this nice older lady came up. She goes, I work at a church in Miami, and she goes, we make rosaries. And she handed us all Miami Hurricane colored rosaries. And I will say it's the first time ever where we said a Hail Mary and the Our Father in a bar.
It worked.
Holding the rosaries.
Against Ohio State, they got the pick six, 72-yard.
Right.
That was the turning point in that game. I was there. Did you see me in the crowd? I was waving.
I did not see it. So that was my story. That I thought was kind of. So I brought that home because my wife, it was in our cabin, and she's like, "You gonna bring that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'm not gonna leave a rosary in the room." So it's back in Mars, PA.
Yes. By the way, did you have a suite on the yacht, or were you just did you have one little porthole? Did you have what was your room like? How was your room like?
I was in my room for like a total of 10 minutes.
He's one of those guys that says, "I don't care about the room size. I'm never going to be in it. I don't care if I just have a porthole with my window."
I spent more time in the thermal spa, I'll tell you that.
There you go.
So,
Dave, you really did deserve a break. We do appreciate that you made it back.
Thank you.
Make a pick.
I just think Fernando Mendoza is playing too well. You look at his stats in the 2 playoff games: 31 of 38, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And his stats, I mean, I was talking to a buddy early this week. You know, he didn't throw for a ton of yards this season, but he didn't have to because he was and you hear a lot of Joe Burrow final year at LSU comparisons. Not the strongest arm, but boy, can he make every single throw and it's on the money. So Carson Beck's a gamer. He's been there. He's been in the playoffs when he was with Georgia. He got hurt last year. I just think there's something about the mentality of that Indiana team where these are a bunch of 2- and 3-star players that were given a chance by this coach that was also given a chance coming over from James Madison. It just feels like it's their year to shine, and they're playing tremendous football right now. I'm going to go Indiana.
I'm going to go Indiana too, and I like the whole connection with Pittsburgh and what that was about, and with the coaching staff. And I think it's not only the quarterback side of it, but their defense. When you watch them, they kind of get after it, and I think both teams. I hope it's a great game, but I'm going on the Indiana side as well. Great story, and you know what? Every one of his interviews are the same. The quarterback, right? At first time I heard him, I was like, I had to take a second peek at it again, and then saw him in another interview, but. How he sat there on the bench. I watched him on the bench when they played the last game. I don't know how long he was sitting on the bench before he got in the game. I think the opening drive against them, he had to sit there for a while. And he gets out there and made a couple throws right away. And I think if you're in that position, you got to feel pretty comfortable how he was playing, how he came in and was ready to go in that game. Again, to me, I'm leaning that way.
Yeah, Indiana. That's a unanimous decision. I'd like to see him win, but Miami can be dangerous. But at home, they're going to have a big crowd.
So real different topic. How much, if he wins if they win, does his name get thrown in all of a sudden?
They're already talking about
they
that.
have to. Yeah.
Or
is he just a loyal? Does he stay where he's at? He brought guys in
for the NFL?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I think he's staying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying all of a sudden.
He's built a little culture there, and if he wins this national championship, he will be etched forever. He's on full scholarship forever at Indiana. And they have a great alumni base.
The guys
money
wired. I think it's all of a sudden it's that you've now done something. The only other thing to get is NFL at some point.
Who's a great college coach that went to the NFL and got bounced? There are a number of, like Nick Saban.
Right.
For every Jimmy Johnson, there's a Nick Saban. There's
5 other guys.
But he's a different personality than those guys. I agree.
So I'm golf buddies with his brother-in-law, and he loves it in Indiana. He loves the fact, listen, he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
He's content there.
Oh, that's it.
All of his assistant coaches that made peanuts for years that stayed with him are now getting paid. Now he's getting guys in the transfer.
He's getting assistants.
He's a loyal. He's one of the coaches that he's a loyal coach. That's good. But it's going to come around. I'm just saying by the next week, by our next show, his name's going to be thrown into that mix.
The college game,
or it's going to enter. Doesn't mean he's going to take it.
Has become more of managing like a pro game with the NIL and the monies and the transfer. I mean, there's a lot. It's not like the old days.
Larry, that's a really good point, because there's a great teammate and friend, Brad Berry, coach at the University of North Dakota, the whole coaching world changed dramatically. It's not just, as you said, it's almost like you're coaching pro players that are, some guys are making more money, as we talked before, making more guys in the NFL. And you're handling it different, and you're dealing with different parents. That can weigh on a coach and go, what am I doing this for? Why am I going to go spend all my time to get a guy to come to Indiana after hopefully they win, and then they bail on? To me, that could wear on anybody over time, because you're now dealing with different things.
All right. That said, let's wrap it up with a offset, off-topic. What's your favorite non-traditional holiday? Scratch Christmas, New Year's Day, Easter, whatever.
Thanksgiving. No Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Do you have one?
Is Halloween in this? Or is Halloween not traditional?
Halloween, yeah, that's traditional. This would be.
Is that traditional?
Non-traditional holiday. For me, it's Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney. Bill Murray's movie came out years ago. He played a Pittsburgh TV weather guy, was sent to Punxsutawney. Then he was like, every day was Groundhog Day. Wow, that happened to me. I was sent to Punxsutawney, to Gobbler's Knob, on television. It was 13 below zero, actual temperature, not a wind chill. And 3.5 hours later, I couldn't feel my extremities. And they pulled Phil out of that stump, which was heated with a 100-watt light bulb and straw. Meanwhile, I'm like, what am I doing? But I've come to love the people of Punxsutawney. I'm actually an honorary Inner Circle member. And when we get closer here, it's only a few weeks away, February 2nd, I have the top hat. I'll bring it on. I might let you wear it, Dave.
Thank you.
For a photo op.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Is there...
How big is it? What's the area? First of all, I agree with you. I think that's a great one. After everything we talked about, I think Groundhog Day, I'll go with you on that. But tell us, what is the atmosphere like? I haven't been there for it, so what's it look like? How big is the area where we're looking at?
It's a small little town. It's like a Norman Rockwell painting going back in time. It's north of Indiana, the Christmas tree capital of the world. Then you go to the weather capital of the world, the Punxsutawney. But on that day, 30,000 people show up on this mountaintop. Gobbler's Knob is what they call that area. And it's seen around the world. And people are mystified why this is happening. And I've had people who have PhDs ask me, how does it know? I'm like, really? How does it know? Does it see its shadow? There are a lot of TV lights. Doesn't it always see its shadow? I'm like, just go with it. Dave, do you have one?
I was thinking Halloween, but I'll dial it back. I'm gonna go St. Patty's Day. It's smaller.
That's a big deal here.
Everything you have to do is alcohol with you.
All right, that's
a good one, Dave. That's a good one, though.
What's yours, Jay?
I said I'm going to go with. I went with
Copycat.
I'll share some joy of.
No, I didn't have anything different because when Halloween was going to be, but I didn't know. But I would have went Halloween. But that's too.
That's too traditional.
Okay, that's too traditional. So
people spend almost as much money for Halloween as they do for Christmas for stuff.
Yeah. No, I like both of them. I think St. Patty's Day would have been a great one too. I'm going to go with Larry though because he's been there and lived it, and we know what you've.
I'll bring you some memorabilia next time.
Please do that, Larry.
Have a great weekend. Good luck with your picks, and we'll check you again next week. That's Mr. Dave Ricchini. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see you, Dave.
You're almost looking healthy now. It's so good. I can't say how delighted I am that we turn our attention to Pierre McGuire.
Hi.
Pierre, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Oh, Larry, I feel bad for you and the Pittsburgh Steeler faithful, but happy to be with you and Jay today.
I think of that I think it was Roosevelt that talked about the man in the arena, the people that are, in this case, on the ice or on the field, and they're the ones that the highs and lows, and the fans are, like the gladiator days watching from afar, but appreciate the individual athletes and what it takes to get back up when things don't go your way.
Yeah, no, it's really a hard thing. Over the course of my life, I've seen a lot of World Junior games. I've seen a lot of Olympic gold medal games on the men's and women's side, a lot of Stanley Cup final. It's so, I said to Scotty Bowman once after we won the cup and Jay was part of the team in 91, we were walking out of the rink and I said, I can't imagine what it'd be like to go this far and to lose. I wouldn't want to know what that pain was like because I knew that year in particular, how hard our players had worked. And he said to me, the first 3 times he coached in the Stanley Cup final with St. Louis, they lost all 3 times. And he says, you can't even imagine what the pain is like. Now, the 4th time he was coaching in Montreal and they beat Chicago, and the rest is history in his career. But the first 3 times he went to the final, he lost 3 straight.
You know, Pierre, first of all, it's a really good comment about Scotty and where that was at, because I always wonder, how does the team that loses the final, I wonder what the success rate is the following year, because you go through the same grind, but your energy, you're depleted differently, right? You're on the downside where, say, for example, Florida's on the up and they're having a great time and the season rolls around and they go. But the team that loses, I wonder what the bounce back success rate is on the team that goes to the finals and is on the short end of the stick.
You know, what's interesting is we saw Florida lose 3 years ago in the final to Vegas.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the next 2 years, they beat Edmonton back to back, and Edmonton never was able to turn it around, Jay. So your point's got a lot of merit. I don't know what the numbers are over the course of history or time, but here's one thing I do know, and we did this in Pittsburgh too. You always try to identify at the trade deadline, and this is for hockey more than football, I think. Identify guys that have been close to the cup, but have never won the cup. So if you think back in 91, we unfortunately trade real good friends of you and I, Paul Coffey and Mark Recchi, and we bring in Rick Tocchet and Shel Samuelson, 2 guys that have been really close to winning but never won.
Right.
And they come into our room, and all of a sudden there's an energy, there's a vibe, there's a feeling. And Montreal Canadiens did that for years and years and years. You can look at it. It's really easy to trace. In the 1950s and the 60s and the 70s, they would always bring in players that had been close to winning but had never won, to bring that enthusiasm into the dressing room.
Oh, I totally get, because we'll say even here on air, like even in football, like, is a team fat and happy in a sense, that phrase, they won, so they don't have the same drive. So I think that's a really good point, Pierre. I mean, I'm sure all GMs, it's a great way to look at it, because you need some, first of all, look at Bill Belichick in the football world, right? He purged his roster all the time. He was moving pieces around, and they stayed successful because they did find what you're talking about, that hungry athlete that maybe wasn't there yet. I understand it.
You know what's cool, Larry? I got to say this. We'll go a little baseball because I know spring training's coming. Branch Rickey had a great saying, the late Branch Rickey of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And it's something like this: I much prefer youthful enthusiasm than the nonchalance of old age. And if you're building a team, it's to Jay's point. That's what you. And that's another one. The great Toe Blake, the legendary coach of the Montreal Canadiens, he used to have a saying all the time: you have to make sure that your team can collectively laugh before a big moment. And what you just did was awesome. You just made us all collectively laugh. It was great.
Well, maybe, and you would know better than anyone, there is a chemistry. It's very real. And, I would imagine, obviously, the head coach, but the assistant coaches and management, how all that works together makes a big difference. And, in Pittsburgh, we've been extraordinarily fortunate as fans to have that success in hockey and football over the years. It's been a while in baseball. 38 days, by the way, till spring training starts in Florida.
That's unbelievable. It's crazy.
The happiest guy in the world, a Bucco fan, is my old partner, Doc Emrick. There's not a bigger Pirate fan in the world than Michael Doc Emrick.
Pierre, we had a chance to interview Doc at spring training over the years, and as you well know, he was a diehard, still is, diehard Pirates fan.
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
crazy, for as good as he is and was being a play-by-play Hall of Famer, he became like a kid when he'd start talking about Pirates baseball. It's kind of fun to see that in a way.
Oh, you know what? We used to sit in, so we always had a routine. We used to get to the rink around 2:30 in the afternoon. The games usually start at 7. and we would drink coffee and we'd talk and we'd do our notes, and he'd always bring up the Pirates. He would always bring up the Pirates. It was unbelievable. And he knew everyone from history. He used to sit in his house in Indiana. He listened to the radio and he would know all the Pirate players from yesteryear. It was unbelievable to hear him talk about it.
Yeah, I have. I actually, you know what? I've saved very few interviews in my career, but one of them was with Doc, knowing that he's a Hall of Fame announcer, and it was just fun to hear his enthusiasm. And I'll find it. I'll play you guys a little clip. It's worth hearing.
Yeah. So Pierre, when you run through and you're working the same way and covering the games the way you do, and we're watching the hockey. Let's go to the hockey today in the world and the NHL, and you look at the Penguins as of through the weekend, going into Tuesday night, and and what that's all about. But they find themselves just 1 point out of a playoff spot, top 3 in the division, and 1 point out of the wild card. It is so tight. But I think what you're finding, a couple teams that have slid in there that nobody expected, like a little wrench in the plans here, because Buffalo, on their run, nobody expected it, right? All of a sudden, they're climbing up. Philly, everybody's hovering around it. But when a couple new teams enter that mix, it makes it a little difficult because Florida, they're going to rebound, right? So that's what I do believe, that Buffalo push has put everybody on notice, and now the drive is a little bit different right now.
Great point. So here's the other team that put on a push that nobody's expecting, the New York Islanders, the team that the Pittsburgh Penguins love to hate, right from when you and I were together in Pittsburgh. We just hated those guys and they hated us. So it worked out well. But here's the biggest thing. Toronto's back on it, Jay. Yeah. They're back on it. And they're on it hard, and they're not going to miss the playoffs. I would expect the Florida Panthers are going to start to heat up, and they're going to be really proactive going into the trade deadline and maybe even make a trade before the Olympics. So look out for them. And to me, there are a couple major disappointments. The New York Rangers are an abomination. The New Jersey Devils, what a major disappointment. So teams that a lot of people thought would be up pushing for those playoff spots, they're not. And look at what happened in Columbus yesterday. I think the whole hockey world was stupefied, absolutely shocked when they fired Dean Evison and hired Rick Bowness. So they're desperate beyond belief in Columbus to make the playoffs. So there's going to be a push at the end, but now we're starting to see separation. I think Pittsburgh's done a phenomenal job staying relevant up until this point. I really believe that, Jay. I really believe they've been tremendously good at staying relevant this NHL season.
Yeah, and as we get, before you know it, the halfway point's going to be here with the Olympics coming. How do you evaluate the Pens' new coach in what you have seen so far?
I think Dan's done a great job, Dan Muse. I really do. I think he's been good with his messaging. I think there were some frustrating moments probably around 10 games ago where the team was kind of roller coastering at Dan or Larry, and Dan didn't know where to go with it. I think he's gotten better. I think he's listened to some of his assistants. He's probably listened to some of the people in the upper echelons of the front office. And so I think now the players are paying more attention. I think he learned a real valuable lesson. I forget the sequence of games, but it was where he sat Crosby on the bench. Kindle went out there. Kindle made a turnover. The team lost a game. Same thing in a shootout. He went out. And so I think he learned, like, the hierarchy of the National Hockey League when you got to make hard decisions. You always defer to the veteran guy that's been there before. But by and large, I think the Penguins have done a good job. I'm really impressed. And there's some underrated players. We talked about Ryan Shea before. We've talked about Jack St. Ivany before. I think Ben Kindle is a phenomenal story. Brazeau's been a tremendous story. Getting Malkin back is good. Now, Jay could tell you they need Brian Rust back.
Yeah, it's
Brian Rust is an important part of this team. They need Brian Rust back.
Yeah, isn't it unbelievable, Pierre? Like we saw, I think the slide you were talking about too, which I totally agree. Everything looked like guys were in between, decision making in the neutral zone, and I know what you're talking about the shootout and the overtimes and when you get to overtime, we all I think we discussed that even. But as far as the team went, as soon as Malkin went out of the lineup, they went on that slide, right? I think it mirrored it, right? When he went down, they couldn't find then the mix, the blend that they had going early on. Then they find it, right? Then they get it going again, and then Brian Rust goes down. And I think to your point, exactly, Pierre, they lose 2 in a row. So when that happens, I think I would not be surprised if we see Malkin maybe get back between Mantha and Brazeau, and then you got to find a slot. Where is Novak going to go? Because I think he's been very good too, finding his little, sweet spot, if you will, in the lineup.
I think Novak should go with Kindle. I really do. I think you should have a line maybe with Hayes, Kindle, and Novak. I would put those big three jumbos together. I would put Malkin back with Brazeau and see how that goes, with Mantha. I really would. People are going to say, well, what about Chinakhov? We just got him. I don't know what you do with Chinakhov. You got to earn his ice time. You know what it's like.
Yep.
You can't just be a player that gets acquired and then you get thrown right into, sugar time. That's not how it works. You got to earn a spot.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think after the 2 losses, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see going against Tampa. And also, I think the one thing that when you mentioned like Kindle on the wing, or would you want Hayes would be in the middle? If you like that, which I do too. I don't mind the names of it, but Kindle on the wing, or you put Hayes in the middle and put Kindle on the right side. And I'm not sure. I wonder what that would be like, Pierre. I guess that's more the question. What do you think Kindle would be like on the wall in this NHL game today?
I'm worried about him on the wall right now. He doesn't have the maturity of a Joey Mullen. And Larry, this is an important point. Larry, Joey Mullen's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he was a great goal scorer. He was a great but you know what Joey Mullen was really good at? He could play the left side or the right side as a right-hand shot, and he could chip out pucks, and he could dominate board play like no other player his size I've ever seen. He was the king of the chip outs, and it's an art. It's a learned art, but it's an art. Kindle's not there yet. I wouldn't have him on the wall. I just too many turnovers.
Would you keep? Would you have then Hayes? That's why I'm my one thought is Hayes on the offside, or would you put him on the right side, or who would you of the two?
You know what? I trust Novak skating, so I'd want Hayes to go where he'd be the most comfortable. And I'd put Novak in. And Novak complainer. Scotty used to say this all the time, Jay. I don't know if you ever heard him say it to the players. I don't even know if he said it to the players. But there were times when Bobby Airy used to play down low coverage, and Mario was a center on that line, late in periods in particular. And Scotty used to say to me all the time, it doesn't matter where he plays, it's just a starting point. It's just a starting point.
That's kind of a good line, though. That's a good point, Pierre. I love that.
I got a Joey Mullen story. We played, as you know, Pierre, those charity games. So it was former Penguins like the Big Man and over the years, we had, you name it, Trotz, Pierre LaRouche.
Rex played a couple,
Yeah, and at one point, we had Joey Mullen, and he told me, get in front of the net, put your stick down, and behind the net. I think we were playing in Wheeling. And finally, like late in the game, he basically bounced one in off my stick, and you hear this Hell's Kitchen Hockey Hall of Famer go, finally. But it was nice to hear your name, the goal scored by and assisted by Joey Mullen. He never let me live that down.
Larry, I got to tell you, that doesn't surprise me. Jay was in the meeting. It was a very intense. We were down 2-0 to the Boston Bruins in the 1991 Eastern Conference Final.
Yep.
And Larry, Joe didn't say very much, as Jay could tell you. He just didn't talk very much. But we're all sitting in there. I'm about to do a video thing for the team. And Joey goes, I got something to say before we get going. I'm like, uh-oh. And he goes, and I'm taking the inside baseball here on this one because not too many people know the story. And Joey goes, fellas, I'm really ashamed of myself. I'm embarrassed. I grew up in New York. I went to Boston College. I was an All-American there. I was on good teams. I spent a lot of time in Boston in the offseason. I know a lot of people here. I play like crap. I wasn't very good. And he says, I got to be better. I let you guys down. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but Jay, kind of along those lines, right?
Yeah, yep.
And then, as soon as he was done, Big Artie, Kevin Stevens goes, I went to Boston College. I grew up in Brockton. This is bull crap. And he's, and he goes, I got to be better. And then all of a sudden, everybody started to say, I got to be better too. And we swept them. We won 4 straight games.
How about
that?
But
it shows you the power of communication. Joey was amazing. He started it all off.
And especially from guys, right, Pierre? Guys that aren't. Kevin's the same way all the time, right? Big Artie's the same way. He would respond no matter what in the locker room. But somebody like Joey Mullen, it's different, right? When you get like even Mario wasn't a talker like that. He was just, he just ruled by when he walked in the room. I'm dead serious, right, Pierre? When he walked into a room, there's a difference. It's even like when he walks into the building today. if he walked into PPG Paints Arena, everybody knows it. So that was his presence. But when somebody like Joey Mullen, to your point, Pierre, it's rare. And when he does it, you're right. People kind of just tune into it and think about it and listen. It's a great story about what Joey was about.
Larry, it was unbelievable because Joey'd say, "Hey, Pete, let's go. I got to get some pucks. Let's get on the ice." So 45 minutes before practice, I'd be launching pucks, and then Murph would join in, and then Jay would join in. And Larry, I'm just telling you, like, Joey didn't say much, but when he did, people, it's like E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. When Joey Mullen talks, people listen. It's kind of cool. I'll give you one quick Mario one. It's a Penguin one. Jay will like this. The 2009 final, Game 5, man, Pittsburgh gets lit up like a Roman candle. It's bad. Detroit's got a chance at clinching Game 6 in Pittsburgh. And I don't know why, but Mario came by the TV studio, and I was there by myself. And getting ready to drive. I was actually got a rental car to drive back to Pittsburgh from Detroit for Game 6. And Mario puts his head in and he goes, "Hey." And I'm like, "Hey, Mario, how you doing?" And he says, "Let's walk out." So we're walking out together. He goes, "Oh, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing better than you. I feel bad. I mean, I don't know what to say." Damn. He goes, "What do you mean feel bad?" So exactly what he said. "What do you mean feel bad?" He goes, "We're going to win this." I go, "What?" I go, "Mario, let me tell you something. You're not playing. Tommy Barras is not playing. This guy's not playing." And he goes, "Pierre, I'm telling you right now, we're coming back to win. And someday I'm going to write a book." And that's going in there. He was so sure that they were going to win. He wasn't even coaching the team. And he went back and he wrote a little message on the blackboard in the old Pittsburgh Penguin dressing room in the Civic Arena. And it resonated, and the guys won Game 6. And then they went in and played a phenomenal Game 7. And they won.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the not only the elite as an athlete, right, Pierre, but we said the presence of Malone and his it's just the way it is.
Hey, I found this real quick. This clip of Doc Emrick. I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. Just hear his childlike enthusiasm talking about the Pirates. We're with the great Doc Emrick, who is a avid Pittsburgh Pirates fan. Good morning, Doc.
It's great to talk to you guys. And in these conditions, it's going to be, 75 today? This is what you come down here for, to have a game with the Orioles under wonderful conditions. And it's probably, we shouldn't rub it in, but it's probably, 40s back home?
Oh, it's cold.
But you could tell his childlike enthusiasm. I love that, the times we spent with Doc Emrick, and you spent a lot of time with him.
Well, you missed that voice. It's just the voice alone, Pierre, right?
Yeah. I wish you could see it through the camera. I got goosebumps right now hearing that.
Yeah.
He used to talk about Kent Tekulve all the time to me. He used to talk about Clint Hurdle, who was the manager, all the time to me. Like he used to talk about a lot of these guys, and I'd be like, "Doc, I can't believe you're." He says, "Pierre, this is how I grew up." He used to listen to Fort Wayne Comets hockey, Detroit Red Wings hockey, and Pittsburgh Pirates baseball.
Back in the day, yeah. Bob Prince on KDKA, which I still work at, the world's first commercial radio station.
There you go.
Amazing.
It is, actually. And then I used to imitate. I think I fell in love with radio and sports because I used to listen to a transistor in my bedroom, and I used to love that you could get, to your point, other cities like Fort Wayne, WoWo, or in New York, and you could listen to other games. And depending on the season, it was baseball, it was hockey, a lot of hockey. And I remember hearing, like, the first time I heard Mike Lang, and I thought, how difficult is it to call play-by-play hockey on the radio? And yet he was able to paint that picture,
Right.
I joked to the big man. At one point, Pierre, they had like 5 guys on the ice with S names. Ron Schock, Ed Shack, And
Go ahead and do it, Larry. Why don't you give us a little
Here
sample?
come the Penguins back to the point. Shepard with a blast. Big Ben struck one there behind the net. Eddie Shack to Schenkel to Schock. Shot save, score.
That's so good. That's so good. By the way, the Penguins family lost a real great Penguin. Lowell McDonald passed away not too long ago, and his grandson is drafted by Seattle. He plays at Harvard, and his son Lane was a Hobey Baker winner at Harvard University. Played in 2 Olympics, and Yeah, that was a sad day. I knew Mr. McDonald pretty well, and he was a legendary Pittsburgh Penguin player.
I actually, he was on KDK years ago with a guy named Jack Bogut when he was playing, and I remember as a fan, meeting him. And then, of course, we lost the founder of the Penguins, Jack McGuire, at age 91, who was from Katanning and who was a state senator. And when the NHL wanted to expand from 6 teams to 12, he went around the city and asked, the movers and the shakers, including Art Rooney.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know Art Rooney chipped in with the Heinz and some other big names of industry to fund establishing the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I know there's a great video of Jack McGregor meeting Mario.
Oh yeah, in the suite, yeah.
And in the suite, and him thanking Mario, and Mario thanking him for starting all this. He said, "Yeah, but you saved us." It was a moment. So to the family of Jack McGregor and friends, that's great historical sports moment in this town.
That's an awesome story. Awesome.
Well, I guess we're going to catch you next week.
This Pierre, fun, we'll see what this run with Tampa, the games that come up and they go on the road, the Penguins do, but a big one with Tampa on Tuesday night, and we'll see how it plays itself out. But again, Tampa on a great run as well. Never surprising for me when you watch Kucherov and Gensel in the mix over there, Braden Point. That's the start of a run that the Penguins need to have you don't want to go out west on with your tail between your legs kind of thing, right, Pierre? I mean, it's a big little stretch of games coming up right here, and it's a sprint to the Olympic time. They're already past the halfway point, so now it's a sprint to the Olympics, and then see what you got.
Perfect. I couldn't agree more. The biggest thing for me with Pittsburgh is just maintain your identity as a group. They know what they have to do to win. Now they just have to maintain their identity as a group and not get too many guys hurt. Really important to keep their guys healthy. The rust injuries set them back a little bit.
Yep.
Well, the great Pierre McGuire, and as Joey Mullen once said to me, finally, we've come to the end. Pierre, always enjoy our conversations.
Thanks,
we'll talk
Pierre.
to you next week.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Big Man, I always enjoy our conversations with Pierre McGuire. He's so passionate about what he does and so knowledgeable. I still marvel at his recall memory, where he was, when, and who was doing what.
No, I know. His whole world is around that. I mean, outside of family, his whole world is in this hockey space, and it's always great that we have him on each and every week, and he's so generous with his time, so we certainly thank him as well.
And coming up, a special event called Curtain Call, a 50-year celebration of Super Bowl X, Stage AE, Saturday, January 24th at 7 o'clock. They're gathering all the great names. Any Steelers fan knows who they are. Mean Joe, Jack Ham, Rocky Blyer, Randy Grossman, Larry Brown, Craig Bigham, John Banaszak, John Kolb. So check that out if you can. They'd love for you to attend a VIP event also, up close and personal with those Super Bowl champs. Stage AE, Saturday, January 24th at 7 o'clock. Also want to thank One Team Media and Brian Hess in Odyssey, Pittsburgh, Michael Spatchapoli.
And also Dave Rourke, the Rourke Automotive Group. They have a new building in Cannonsburg, state-of-the-art, 200,000 square feet, 4 stories. Get a peek. They're fantastic. Dave, thanks for being with us. Also, Tom Grillish and Henderson Brothers. Tom, as always, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
And speaking of Curtain Call, we're looking forward to talking to Rocky Blyer next week. So make sure you join us. Offset, Larry and the Big Man. And that's a wrap.